Two people, separated by hundreds or even thousands of miles, staring at their phone screens late at night. The glow of the display lights up their tired faces. They're laughing. They're talking. They're planning dream vacations and promising each other that one day, they'll close this distance for good. To an outsider it might seem impossible. No hugs before work. No hand-holding at the movies. No casual, see you later, after a coffee date. Every shared moment has to be scheduled, coordinated across time zones, and squeezed in between work, sleep, and everyday chaos. And yet, some couples in long-distance relationships thrive. They grow more connected, more trusting, and even more in love over time. Others? They burn out. The texts slow down, the video calls feel forced, and eventually, the silence becomes permanent. Why does this happen? Why can the same type of relationship become a lifelong love story for some, and a painful memory for others? The answer isn't luck. It's psychology. It's in the way we think, the way we communicate, and the way we meet emotional needs when the other person is hundreds of miles away. The role of emotional security. One of the most powerful factors in whether a long-distance relationship survives is emotional security. This is your inner sense of stability in love, the belief that your partner cares about you even when you can't physically see them, touch them, or share your daily life side by side. When someone feels emotionally secure, distance isn't a constant threat. They don't need proof of love every hour. They trust the foundation they've built with their partner. A missed text doesn't set off alarm bells. A busy day without a call is understood as life happening, not as evidence of fading feelings. But for someone struggling with deep insecurities, distance can magnify every fear. A delayed reply can feel like rejection. A night without a good night message becomes a sign they're losing interest. What's really happening is this. The mind starts filling in the blanks with worst-case scenarios, because there's no physical presence to soothe those doubts. From a psychological perspective, emotional security acts like a safety net. Without it, small misunderstandings can spiral into major conflicts. With it, couples have the resilience to ride out those inevitable moments of miscommunication. Building emotional security in a long-distance relationship isn't about pretending everything is fine. It's about creating consistency in the ways you show up for each other. This can be as simple as having a predictable check-in routine, so you both know when you'll connect next. Being transparent about busy days instead of disappearing without explanation. Expressing appreciation often, so your partner feels valued even from afar. Because here's the truth. In a long-distance relationship, your words are the main touch your partner receives. They are the hugs, the hand-holding, the casual glances. And the couples who last are the ones who use that reality to strengthen their bond instead of letting the silence weaken it. Communication styles that strengthen or break the bond. In long-distance love, words are not just words, they're lifelines. When you can't hold each other's hand, your voice, your texts, and your video calls become the touch points that keep the relationship alive. But it's not only what you talk about. It's how you talk that decides whether your bond deepens or withers. Couples who thrive in the distance often practice intentional communication. They don't just exchange, "How was your day?" out of habit. They dive deeper. They share their feelings openly, talk about their struggles honestly, and celebrate the little wins together. They use calls not just to update each other, but to feel connected, understood, and valued. On the other hand, some couples reduce conversations to quick check-ins. "Good morning, I'm busy, good night." Over time, this transactional style of talking creates emotional emptiness. Others avoid tough topics altogether, thinking they're keeping the peace, but in reality, they're letting unresolved issues silently grow. In a long-distance relationship, communication isn't just a bridge. It's the only bridge. Without it, the emotional gap can become even wider than the physical one, and eventually, the connection can crumble. Shared goals and a clear timeline. Love can survive distance, but it needs direction. Couples who have shared goals and a clear plan for when they'll finally be in the same place have a huge advantage. Knowing when and how you'll close the gap gives the relationship purpose. It turns the hard days into something you can endure because there's a countdown in your mind. Just 4 more months. Just 10 more weekends. That hope fuels commitment and makes sacrifices feel worth it. But when there's no plan, the distance can start to feel endless. Uncertainty is like slow poison. It doesn't kill the relationship overnight, but it erodes it piece by piece. Without a clear finish line, The relationship can feel like running a marathon with no idea where or when it ends. The excitement fades, the loneliness grows heavier, and doubts creep in. Will this ever change? Are we just holding on for the sake of it? Shared goals also give couples a sense of teamwork. It's not you over there and me over here. It's us working together toward the same future. That shared vision is the glue that keeps hearts aligned, even when miles apart. Without it, love can start to feel like two parallel roads, close, but never truly meeting. Personality and independence. Long-distance relationships have a unique rhythm, and they often thrive when both partners have a strong sense of individuality. People who are naturally independent tend to adapt better because they know how to fill their own days with purpose. They can pour energy into their career, explore personal passions, nurture friendships, and still remain deeply committed to their partner. For them, the distance is not a punishment. It's a challenge that strengthens emotional bonds and encourages personal growth. They understand that love is not just about constant presence. It's also about mutual support for each other's individual journeys. However, for people who depend heavily on physical closeness to feel emotionally secure, long distance can feel like living with a constant ache. Without shared dinners, spontaneous hugs, or the comfort of sitting side by side, love can start to feel incomplete. The absence creates an emotional void that technology alone can't always fill. Video calls may help, but for them, the lack of physical reassurance is like reading a book with missing pages. The story is there, but something essential feels lost. Trust. The foundation that holds it all together. In any relationship, trust is important. But in a long-distance relationship, it's everything. It's the glue that keeps two hearts aligned across miles and time zones. Without trust, every unanswered text, delayed phone call, or change in routine can turn into fuel for insecurity. And when doubt starts to creep in, the imagination becomes a dangerous storyteller, creating scenarios that may have no basis in reality. For couples who are naturally secure in their connection, trust allows them to breathe, to give each other freedom without fear. It means having the confidence that your partner's love isn't wavering just because you can't see them every day. It also means being open about your own worries, because healthy trust doesn't ignore red flags, it addresses them honestly. But when jealousy, suspicion, or past betrayals are part of the mix, distance can magnify those feelings to an unbearable level. What might have been a small misunderstanding in a close-distance relationship can become a full-blown argument when physical reassurance isn't possible. This is why long-distance relationships often require more communication, more transparency, and more reassurance than most people expect. Trust, in this context, isn't just a feeling. It's a daily choice, a commitment to believe in each other even when the miles feel heavy. Why some fail quickly? When emotional needs aren't consistently met, when trust starts to wobble, and when conversations turn into shallow check-ins rather than meaningful exchanges, the relationship begins to quietly erode. At first, it's just a faint crack, a missed call here, a vague reply there. But in long-distance relationships, every small disconnect gets magnified. You can't simply drive over, hug it out, or share a quiet evening together to smooth things over. Time zones, busy schedules, and misunderstandings can turn those little cracks into deep fractures. And the danger is, distance creates room for assumptions. You start to fill in the blanks with your own fears, and before long, you're no longer reacting to reality, but to a story you've told yourself. Once resentment and doubt settle in, they're hard to shake. Especially when physical closeness isn't there to remind you of the love you share. Over time, the relationship can shift from feeling like a source of joy to feeling like a heavy emotional responsibility. Why some last a lifetime? Yet, for others, distance isn't a wedge, it's a sharpening stone. These couples approach the challenge with intentionality. They don't just talk, they connect. They learn to express affection through words, through actions, through small rituals that keep love alive. They send thoughtful messages, share moments from their day, celebrate small wins together, and make future plans that give them something to look forward to. They also understand that trust isn't built by avoiding mistakes, but by showing up consistently, even when life is messy. They know that love in a long-distance relationship requires creativity, a willingness to think outside the box for ways to feel close, even when miles apart. For them, the distance becomes a proving ground, a test of commitment that deepens their bond and makes reunion all the more meaningful. Every separation becomes a reminder not of what they lack, but of what they're willing to fight for. Closing thought. At its core, a long-distance relationship is not defined by the miles that separate you, but by the emotional closeness you nurture daily. Physical absence can't break a relationship that's deeply rooted in trust, emotional security, shared values, and consistent, heartfelt communication. The truth is, distance doesn't decide the fate of your relationship. Your daily choices do. So if you find yourself in one right now, ask yourself this. Are you building a bridge every day, laying down trust, effort, and love brick by brick? Or are you letting the waters of uncertainty rise between you? Because in the end, love doesn't fail because of distance. It fails when the heart stops trying.